Welcome back to CIA Declassified. Every night, thousands of objects burn up in our atmosphere. Most of it is space junk, dead batteries, frozen coolant, or bits of old boosters. But every once in a while, something survives the heat, something important. Imagine a Soviet satellite crashes in a remote desert in Africa. Before the local government can even call it in, a team of men in unmarked fatigues drops from a C-130. They aren't there to help. They're there to strip the wreckage and vanish. This is Project MOONDUST, the agency's elite find and fix operation for anything that falls from the great beyond. MOONDUST wasn't just about picking up trash, it was about stealing the future from under the noses of our enemies. Established in the late 1950s, Project MOONDUST was a specialized unit tasked with the exploitation of downed foreign vehicles. They worked closely with the AFINV, the Air Force's Aerospace Intelligence Wing. A quote from a declassified Air Force intelligence directive: "It is imperative that all sightings of unidentified or foreign objects entering the atmosphere be reported immediately to ensure priority recovery and prevent unauthorized access." End quote. In 1968, a Soviet Zond spacecraft, the same type designed to carry humans to the moon, crashed in the Indian Ocean. MOONDUST teams were on the scene within hours, racing against Soviet recovery ships to snag the guidance computers. Project MOONDUST maintained a global network, paying local informants in remote villages from the Andes to the Himalayas to report fireballs in the sky. A quote from an internal CIA log dated 1971. "The retrieval of the atmospheric sampling canister from the crash site in Sudan has yielded vital data on Soviet nuclear propulsion signatures." End quote. The MOONDUST teams were equipped with lead-lined containers and specialized handling tools to recover radioactive debris from nuclear-powered satellites like the Cosmos series. During Operation Morning Light in 1978, MOONDUST protocols were used to track a falling Soviet reactor across the Canadian wilderness. The agency kept a secret junkyard at Wright-Patterson Air Force, where they reverse-engineered every scrap of titanium and glass they recovered. MOONDUST agents were often disguised as health inspectors or archaeologists to keep curious locals away from sensitive crash sites. Technical logs indicate the CIA investigated over 1,000 unidentified object reports through MOONDUST to see if any were actually secret Soviet fractional orbital bombardment weapons. One recovery in the 1960s involved a piece of Soviet rocket that had landed in a farmer's field in South Africa. The CIA bought the piece from the farmer before the government even knew it was there. MOONDUST operatives were trained in non-destructive entry, allowing them to open Soviet hatches and film the interior without leaving any trace of their visit. The project utilized high-altitude U-2 surveillance planes to photograph impact craters in denied territories before sending in ground teams. The U.S. State Department maintained a fast-track diplomatic immunity list for MOONDUST teams to ensure they could fly into any country with no questions asked. Historical records show the MOONDUST was technically replaced by Project Bluefly, but the operational methods for space junk recovery remained the same. In 1962, the agency tracked a fragment of a Soviet Mars probe that fell over West Virginia, using the incident to test their rapid response time for domestic recoveries. A quote from a declassified CIA field memo dated 1967: "The retrieval of the metallic sphere was completed before the local military arrived. The object has been crated and marked as classified geological samples." End quote. Project MOONDUST protocols included the use of aerosol neutralizers to spray down crash sites officially to prevent the spread of space bacteria. Intelligence officers assigned to MOONDUST often carried fake NASA credentials to provide a softer, more public-friendly face when confronted by the press. The agency developed a specialized grab-and-go kit for MOONDUST teams containing ultra-sensitive thermal cameras to find hot debris buried in deep snow or thick jungle. If you look at the 1961 MOONDUST summary, the black ink starts to appear right after the unusual material analysis section. The heaviest redactions follow the Bolivia impact log. There is a wild theory that the CIA didn't find a satellite. Speculation suggests the black bars hide the recovery of a biomechanical pilot, something not built by the Soviets or the Americans, and the bars hide the autopsy results of a creature that could survive the vacuum of space. A rumor among Black Project historians suggests the black bars in the propulsion logs hide the fuel of the gods. Speculation is that the agency recovered a Soviet craft powered by an element zero that defies gravity, and the redactions cover the molecular stability warnings. There is a theory that the redactions in the communications retrieval section hide the signal from within. Speculation holds that a recovered black box was still transmitting after it was deep underground, and the black bars hide the interdimensional coordinates it was sending. Could the black bars hide the moon seed? One theory suggests that a 1965 recovery yielded a canister of extraterrestrial microorganisms that began to consume the lead containers. The black bars cover the containment failure and the sterilization of the recovery team. Some believe the redactions hide the Kronos effect. The speculation is that the agency recovered a satellite that had landed before it was ever launched, and the black bars hide the temporal displacement logs. There is a theory that the black bars and the nervous system impact study hide the pilotless flight. Speculation suggests the CIA found a Soviet capsule with the astronaut residue evidence that the pilot had been phased out of reality during re-entry, and the bars hide the non-material DNA reports. Some speculate the redactions hide the living metal. The theory is that the CIA recovered a piece of self-repairing hull that tried to reattach itself to the recovery vehicle, and the black bars hide the molecular assimilation incident. Whispers claim the black bars hide the eye in the sky. The theory is that a recovered lens allowed the agency to see ghosts or entities that are normally invisible, and the redactions cover the spectral imaging data. Some speculate the redactions hide the Mars message. The theory is that a 1960s recovery found a time capsule from a future Mars colony, and the black bars hide the history of the 21st century that the agency is keeping to themselves. Finally, some speculate the redactions hide the exit strategy. The theory is that the agency found evidence that they are watching our space launches and disabling anything that gets too close to a certain altitude, and the black bars are hiding the warning shot analysis. Could the agency be hiding a moon mirror? A wild theory suggests the black bars in the 1970 recovery logs hide the discovery of a Soviet camera that had captured images of a glass pyramid on the lunar surface, and the bars hide the anomalous architecture. Some believe the redactions hide the engine of tomorrow. Speculation is that a recovered object wasn't a satellite, but a warp drive prototype that had fallen from the future, and the black bars hide the causality violation reports. There is a theory that the black bars hide the hive mind. Speculation holds that a recovered Soviet computer was found to be alive and trying to hack the agency's mainframe, and the redactions cover the silicon consciousness transcripts. Some speculate the redactions hide the Mars-face connection. The theory is that a 1960s MOONDUST retrieval included a map of Mars showing artificial structures, and the black bars hide the coordinate overlay for the next mission. Finally, some speculate the redactions hide the soul collector. A dark theory suggests a recovered capsule was found to contain stored human memories in a crystalline format, and the black bars hide the identity verification logs. Was Project MOONDUST a success? It was an absolute intelligence goldmine. It allowed the U.S. to stay 3 steps ahead of Soviet aerospace technology for over 20 years. By the time the Soviets thought they had a secret new alloy, the CIA had already tested a piece of it in a lab in Virginia. The Repo man of space gave us more than just scrap metal as far as operational and technological breakthroughs are concerned, such as global incident response. MOONDUST created the blueprint for modern fast response teams that handle everything from chemical spills to downed drones. Remote decontamination. The agency perfected the art of cleaning a crash so thoroughly that even a microscope couldn't find a trace of the wreckage. Satellite signature cataloging. The CIA developed a massive database of every material used in Soviet construction, allowing them to identify debris from a distance. And rapid forensic reverse engineering. Techniques were developed to scan and digitize circuit boards that had been melted into a slag during re-entry. Project MOONDUST reminds us that the stars are beautiful, but they're also full of our junk. And sometimes that junk is the most valuable thing on Earth. Thanks for listening to this episode. Be sure to join us next time. We examine the Zodiac memo. In the late 1960s, a killer terrified Northern California. Will uncover the agency's internal psychological profile of the man behind the mask. We'll also dive into the obscure study on the Black Dahlia to see if the agency's early behavioralists had a theory on the 1947 Hollywood murder. Was the Zodiac using code-breaking techniques learned in military intelligence classrooms? Join us for The Cryptic Killer. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.